Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and I'm so excited about the guest that I have to bring to you today. It's one of my oldest friends. He's one of the best known guys in town, and frankly, he's one of the best guys in town. He's a local business owner, a community leader, a dad, a grandfather, a husband, a son, you name it, a man of many talents, an avid outdoorsman, just one of the most gregarious, outgoing, friendly people you'll ever meet. And it's Trey Harris of Harris Farms and Harris Seafood. So if you know, hey, we're going to Harris, baby. Yes, we are. Well, kind of. Today I have a special treat. You guys know Harris Seafood. It's right on the corner and right on the price at the corner of Main Street, Pine Street, and 6th in Ponchatoula. But you probably have never had the opportunity to go out and see Harris Farms. So here's Trey Harris at his strawberry farm. Trey, how are you, man?
Doing good, Parker. Thanks for having me here today. I appreciate it. Me and you've been friends. The Harris family and the Layrisson family go back a long time.
Absolutely,
Pleased to be here, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. You know, you've been like a big brother to me. We'll get into that, I'm sure, in a bit about how you've looked out for me and my family and friends over the years. And I've just always admired you. I think you were a senior at PHS when I was a freshman, and you really paved the way for, me and my buddies and our whole generation. I'm going to try to give the folks here a better view of a solo shot there of you and your farm. So tell us, Trey, where are you right now? Tell us about your farm.
I'm in Springfield, Louisiana. Me and Rachel purchased this farm this past year. We were very excited about what's going on.
I bet.
We've been fighting weather this year with a lot of rain early, and then we just had the ice and the snow stuff that affected a lot of our blooms and did a little freeze damage. But Parker, look how pretty it is back here right now. I mean, we're real excited about what's about to happen.
Us too. And in a moment, I'm going to ask to see whether we can get a visual of some of your berries, and you can kind of give us a little tour there. But for now, why don't we step back a little bit? Because you mentioned family and how far back the Layrisson family, the Harris family go back. And of course, your mom's also a member of a prominent family, the Bates family. And they go way back with my dad and his family too. So tell us a little bit about your family and, about the store that you guys had, and just, give us some Harris family history, some Bates family history. Give our viewers a feel of where you come from family wise.
Well, our roots are very strong in Ponchatoula and Manchac, Louisiana, acres. My grandfather was a federal game warden, and your dad was a game warden. My grandfather was a federal game warden, and our family owned Middendorf's. They founded it, Middendorf's in Manchac.
Sure. Legendary restaurant.
Correct. My grandmother was Cecile Degree, and she owned a clothing shop in downtown Ponchatoula. And the Bates family, and they were well known. And I never got to meet my grandfather, either one of them. My other grandfather was Johnny Harris. He owned Johnny's Conoco, where we are located with Harris Seafood, which was formerly Harris Gas and Liquor. And him and the Tuckers, Johnny Tucker was really good friends. And my grandfather ran that store, and I never got to meet him either. But I heard a lot of good things about my grandfathers. My grandmother was Aggie. She had a bus line that ran from Hammond to Ponchatoula all over the place. As a kid, I used to ride on the bus with them. And, it's, I couldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my mom and dad. I was on a beer route. Greg Quinn hired me back in 1999. And I was on a beer route with Ronnie Malasaw. I was the bud driver, and Ronnie was my salesman. And we had Ponchatoula and Hammond, and we had some other areas around that area. And we ended up in 2000. The Tuckers had talked to me about purchasing the store. So my dad come in. He was working overseas in Texaco for Texaco in Luanda, Africa. And my dad come in, and I told him about buying the store. And my dad said, "Okay, son, we'll take a chance." And my dad, his dad had a massive heart attack in that store when he was 48 years old. And so it brought back a lot of memories for my dad because, as a young kid, he grew up there, and he started from the bottom with Texaco to become a production supervisor. and he's just a great man. My dad and
Yeah.
mom are the backbone. Him and my wife and my kids.
Sure.
It's all family, you know, and we've
Well, I'm
done
so
good,
glad you
so.
mentioned all them, because I'll of course let you finish, because this is a compelling story. But you know, your parents were the first couple in Ponchatoula to support me in my law practice. When I came to town, I'll never forget. I was in the store there buying gas or whatever one day, and you know, your mom said, "Parker, we don't have a case, but I want you to know we'd like you to
Parker,
be
it's
our
breaking
family
up.
attorney." Oh, I'm sorry, Trey.
Breaking up real bad right now, Parker.
With it appears as though from the camera we've got a connection issue on Trey's side. He's out there in the field, so we don't have the benefit of Wi-Fi. Trey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. I was just mentioning, you know, your mom and dad were my first clients when I came to Ponchatoula.
Right.
And of course I knew them a long time before that. But, you know, I was always appreciative of the fact that they put their trust in me when I was very young and inexperienced. And Miss Brenda, Mr. Johnny B, they're just as good as they get here in Ponchatoula. I mean, everybody's seen their work ethic because you've been right there on the corner in plain view of the whole city for decades now. And they were down in the trenches with you, you know, busting their hump, sweating over boiled crawfish. And, you know, back when you did gas lines, and now strawberries and all the different things you do. They're just great folks. And you mentioned your grandfather, John B. Harris. You know, the Kiwanis has a scholarship, an award named for him. I mean, he was clearly a giant local business leader generations ago. So I'm like you. I didn't get to meet my grandfathers. They died before, you know, we had that opportunity. But they certainly left their mark, and they left you guys with a reputation to be proud of. And, you know, you mentioned your wife, Rachel. What a beautiful woman she is inside and out. And she's blessed you with, God's blessed the two of you, rather, with several children. Tell us about your children and your most recent addition to the family.
Yeah, we were blessed with a beautiful grandchild, Savannah. My oldest, she's 20. And we just had our first little grandbaby, Cora. And I mean, she's such a blessing. They stay with us. I get to see her every morning. My son, Rowan's 15. He's a great young man. He's going to be
great basketball player, right?
He's going to be a good little basketball player, I hope, and hopefully he'll stay healthy. And then my 6-year-old, Amelia, she's a beautiful little kid inside out. But I'm blessed, and you know, and Cora's blessed because not too many kids get to have great grandparents. And I still have my mom and dad. Rachel has her mom and dad. Cody has his mom and dad. You know, it's a special situation, you know.
And they're all such good people. You mentioned Rachel's parents. I remember your father-in-law, Mr. Dan Pieper, and you mentioned basketball throwing. Mr. Dan used to coach against my daddy in the youth leagues. I mean, just great folks.
This must be Wi-Fi.
Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Parker.
Well, folks, I'm sorry for the tech issue here. Trey, can you hear me now?
I can't hear it.
We knew we were taking a chance when we went on location here, folks. We just wanted y'all to see these beautiful berries. Hopefully Trey can get reconnected here.
I wonder if I can get Wi-Fi or something here.
Trey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Are you there, Parker?
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us about the operating a farm and a seafood store. Is it a family affair? Oh, guys. I'm so sorry here. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try to regroup here with a better connection.
Let me see if I can get one.
And we will get back to you. I will try to get back online here, but we did want to show you a live view of Harris Farms. This is a great local strawberry farm. They supply the strawberries, the Rouses. They also sell them there at the Harris Seafood Store. It's just a really cool setup. So hopefully we can get Trey back with us and you know, tell us about that more. If not, I promise we'll get him back on the show some other way so that he can, you know, tell us about what he and his family do. While we're doing that, why don't I take a moment here to share a few of our comments, because several of you are watching live, and I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching, you have the ability to comment. We'll do our best to get to it. But we have here Donald Walker, Donald Burton, one of the finest people in town. Donald, one of our prior guests here on the show. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so glad that you're watching. I know we're both good friends of Trey's. And you're mentioning Mr. Johnny and Miss Brenda. Aren't they great? Thank you very much, Donald, for tuning in. And Michael, you said that Trey is such a great person, and he is. So I've got the phone ringing here. Trey, hopefully trying to reconnect with us. I'll do my best to get us back online, folks. Thanks for your patience. Hi, folks. We're back, and I think I've got a connection with Trey here. We're going to try to put him on.
Sounds
Hey, Trey,
good. Sounds
we're
good.
still live. Can you hear me?
I hear you great now.
Okay, great, great. Folks, thank you for your patience. We had a cell phone issue there where we went from 4 bars to 2 bars, and it wasn't enough to keep the stream. Trey, you were telling us about your family, and I think the folks heard that you get through your grandchild, your kids. Tell us about what it's like having a farm and a store, and what kind of family affair that is. Who does what, and how do folks chip in a family business like yours?
Well, my mom and dad for years was up there with my mom and me and my dad. You know, Rachel's had her own job, and you know, even starting from back to the gas days. I mean, your little
Right.
brother, little Eddie Brusher.
Yeah, that's
lot
right.
of
My little brother worked for you. Yeah.
a lot of kids in high school worked up at the
Uh-huh.
store, and it was fun. We had a lot of good times, and then you know we decided with to go into the seafood business, and
Uh-huh.
you know our seafood business has done well with our relationships with my crawfish people. One of the first guys I had, you know, me and him's like brothers, and it's Raleigh. He's from Abbeville,
Okay.
and me and him talk every day. And then I have my friends at Smith's, and you know we've done real good with the seafood. And now my dad, he's not in the store, but he's got a commercial fishing license where he catches catfish for the store.
Okay.
Sells,
And that's
sells
Cajun
weekly.
Johnny for those of you
Cajun.
that know him as Cajun Johnny. He's
Yeah.
quite a character.
Oh yeah, he's something, man. He's been a great dad, man. He's a
Oh,
great
yeah,
role model, and
for sure.
I'm very blessed to still have both my parents.
Hmm.
I know you were talking earlier about Rachel's dad.
Yeah, Mr. Dan
It's
Pieper. Well, I was just mentioning, it's great when you see two great families come together. But I remember Mr. Dan coaching his son Ben against my little brother Louie, who you mentioned, who worked for you, and his wife Terry was my teacher when I was a kid.
St. Joseph.
At St. Joe, they're just wonderful people, and it's probably no coincidence that they created a great daughter in Rachel and a great son, and they came together with another great family in yours.
And a lot of what people don't know about my father-in-law, he was heavily recruited all over the country to play basketball.
Right. Yeah.
He had signed to play with LSU for
Really?
Pete Maravich's daddy, Press Maravich.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, they were coming down, Miss Terry and Mr. Dan. And
Uh-huh.
that year, Press Maravich, I think LSU might have let him go, or I don't know the story.
Okay.
So he told Dan, that maybe he should go somewhere else. So Dan decided to go to Southeastern, where they had co-ed dorms. So
Okay.
they were married. They come down, and
Neat.
that's how we.
And they're not from this area, right? Aren't they from the Midwest or somewhere?
Illinois, Quincy,
Illinois.
Illinois.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
getting ready to be inducted into the High School Hall of Fame in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Big Dan Pieper, man. He was a heck of a coach, and of course his son Ben was a heck of a player. So I guess we'll see
he
what
played with
Rowan
Louis.
gets.
We got to watch him together with Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's wild. Well, tell us now you're a basketball dad, right? And of course you were a football player, so there's athletes on both sides of the family. But what's it like being a basketball dad? I know Rowan travels a lot and practices hard, and I see the videos on Facebook. What's that experience like now that you're on the other side of the equation?
We I really enjoy it. Basketball's an up pace. It's back and forth, up and down, fast action. Rowan loves the game. That's why my father-in-law told him you have to love it, and Rowan really loves it. And I'm looking forward to watching him. He'll be in high school next year. We'll be in Springfield. We moved out there about 7 years ago. We've been to Springfield, and I love to watch Rowan play basketball. It's fun.
Well, tell us about that, because obviously you grew up right there in the heart of Ponchatoula, and I spent many a day as a kid, in your living room, in your yard. My good friend Ben Perrin lived right down the street from you, and his mom, Miss Sandra, was like a second mama to us. I'd stay over there all the time. Tell us about what your childhood was like in Ponchatoula, and then we can kind of get into the move to Springfield and the farm and all that. But what was growing up in Ponchatoula like for you?
It was like you said. It was all of us. We rode bikes. We played tennis ball. We played basketball. Every afternoon I was with the LeBourgeois.
Yeah.
Or Stephen Perrin and Ben. Shane McMorris was with us a lot. It was just a lot of us, even going to St. Joseph in the football field. And
right.
Things have changed. It's not like it was with us when we were growing up. And that it brought bonds together with families, for a long time.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it was much more, I guess, of a Mayberry type experience where you could be
exactly.
safe kind of running all around town.
Yeah,
Well,
it's town's grown up. It's huge
yeah,
now. I mean, we have a lot of traffic through town, and back in the day, it wasn't like that.
right.
We had single roads, and we're not young anymore, Parker. I mean,
You don't have to tell me. Look at all this gray in
look
this
at the
beard
gray
here.
I got.
At least you still have hair. If you
Yeah.
saw the back of mine, boy, I tell
Oh
you.
yeah.
Well, let's go back to the glory
I
days
wanna-
a little bit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to go back to our high school years.
That's exactly where I was
and,
going. And let me lead in with this, if you don't mind, because you're at PHS a few years ahead of me. But I got there with Ben Perrin, your old neighbor, a year behind Brad LeBourgeois, your other neighbor, and we came over from St. Joe, and it was a small little clique, of about a dozen guys coming in, to a school with 400 people in a freshman class, and I was a little shrimp. I was barely 5 feet tall, and you and Stormy Joyner and Trey y'all were all kind of the kings of the campus at that time. And you took me under your arm and kind of protected me. And I always want to thank you for that, because it really meant the world to me. But the other thing you did was introduce me and my gang to public service, because you were the president of the Key Club and y'all were doing public service projects all the time. So you mentioned, tell us about PHS, starting with when you got there long before I arrived, but what was your experience like? And please talk some about the Key Club and the things you did there, because you were such a great president and y'all did wonderful things.
Well, going back to the Key Club, and this man is still very influential in your life, and still is one of the most influential people in my life growing up, and that was Danny Williams.
Absolutely.
He was a principal. He was a principal at Tucker, I think, one of the schools, and he was our sponsor. And Key Club, when I first got in there, it was Interact, which was Rotary, and we had Key Club, which was Kiwanis. And we started off very small. It was a very small deal my freshman year. It blew up into a fraternity.
That's what I was going to say. By the time you were president, it was like a frat house.
We had sweethearts
that
we elected. It was an all guys club with our sweetheart girls, and it started from my freshman year to Glendale Bridges being our president my junior year, and Glendale's been a very influential person in the community. You don't find him any finer than Danny Williams and Glendale.
Leader. Yeah, he really is.
And then it went on to you and William Sims, and look at the great
speaking of those guys, once chiming in here, Kevin Rayford was a great president a couple years after me. Kevin, thanks for watching, man.
Oh yeah, but Danny Williams, Mary Beth Crevetta. I mean, these are people that still strong leaders in our community that were very influential. And if I could go back, I'd like to do other things that maybe did a lot of crazy things in high school, but I know my kids, I know when they doing wrong.
Right. It's tough to slip one by you, right?
And let me tell you, one of my close friends now who, my senior year, he was mad at me, is Virgil Allen. Me and Virgil talk. Mr. Allen, I call him.
He was our principal back then.
We talk all the time. I was the first one to graduate. He was our principal when I was in Tucker. I was the first class to graduate from kindergarten and be a senior with him.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
And, it was just. High school was fun.
Yeah,
it really was, Parker. And you roll with
special place, man, for sure.
It was.
And it still is, thanks to the folks that are carrying those traditions on. From classmates of ours like Brandy Willie Daniels, to Mary Beth Crevetta. Hasn't been gone from there long. I mean, she carried the torch for a long time. Exactly. It's a great institution. You've got a Matthew Montgomery chiming in here to say, hey, Bulldog.
What's up, Quasi? What's happening, Dad?
That's a fun dude.
That's my buddy. He owns Smoothie King in Hammond. Yeah, real good guy. He's from Hammond.
Great guy.
He's been very loyal to me. I have a lot of loyal customers. I can't thank everybody from Tangipahoa Parish, Livingston Parish. I mean, I'm a very blessed person to be able to close, and I want people to realize we don't close. I mean, we on this farm, we're picking strawberries. Right. My guys come in on H-2A visas 10 months starting in August. We start delivering berries into Rouse's in November. And Rouse's market is they have taken care of me like family. They've never let me down.
Right.
I deliver every one of my strawberries to every store, and I have 20 stores at sometimes when we get going with this thing. So just because I'm not at the store and people might think, well, dang, Trey's off October, November, December, or whatever, we're
Right.
working,
Sure.
and I'll show y'all in a little while, we, with our farm, 4 years ago. And well, let's finish the other stuff. We'll go into the farm.
Yeah, so we'll get into the farm for sure. So we're talking about PHS, right? And the people who had an impact on you there. And you mentioned Mr. Danny Williams and Mary Beth Crevetto and Virgil Allen. All are titans in this area. I mean, they have earned every inch of the spectacular reputations that they have. Who were other influences in your youth, whether at the high school, at another school, coaches, friends? I mean, who are the people that helped show you the way to become the man you are today?
Josie Lewis.
Tell us about that.
Beth Gonzalez.
Oh, I love Miss Beth. Yeah.
All the way back to I have good handwriting, cursive, and it goes all the way back to Miss Bickford and Miss Greer, back in elementary school. I've been so many influential people from the time I was in elementary school all the way up to high school. I mean, we had really good teachers, and back in the day, I mean, people moved to Ponchatoula because of our of the school system.
Yeah, the education.
People were steady coming here because they wanted to be in the best school systems in the state.
Sure.
And that was what Ponchatoula was known for. And where I'm going with that,
Well, you make me giggle when you mention your great penmanship, because one of the best kept secrets in our family is that my brother Bree has beautiful penmanship. He looks like a 7th grade girl writing a love note or something. And I remember when he first ran for office, each time Bree's run, he's written handwritten notes to more than 1,000 people in town. But so many people thought he got a campaign staffer to do it because it's like that's too nice to be Bree's handwriting. But it looks like something where he should have a heart over the I or something.
Oh yeah.
Well, Nate, let's talk about we're talking about community service and education. What else were you into? Like, I know you played sports, you played football. You're an avid outdoorsman, as I think everybody with any inch of Bates blood in them is. Tell us about kind of what you're into recreationally, both as a kid and what's carried over to today too.
Growing up, I enjoyed being with my cousins, Don Bates and Collie Bates. We did a lot of. My cousin Collie, he works for the parish.
Collie runs the drainage district. He's an engineer. He's a brilliant guy, really talented fellow.
He's like an older brother. Him and Don. Don's an engineer. He's bringing a lot of these, a lot of this litter stuff all over the country right now. He's doing really good with that. And I did a lot of hunting with them. We had a lot of good times. My uncle Jack Bates, big head. He took us under his wing with my dad, and we did so much stuff as young kids. And they knew the outdoors, so it was fun situations. Mike Kraft, Hart. That's Patsy's son.
Right.
He took me. I had dreadful stories with him, but he showed me so much as a young kid coming up. Hart did. Yeah. And it's just being here. We just, the outdoors was everything. We duck hunted. That's that was in our blood. Me and Corey Dufresh. We were together hunting mornings and evenings. I mean, it was. And Corey still, he's 110%.
Well, but you too. I mean, you guys kind of go all over the country hunting ducks, don't you?
We used to, Parker. I never deer hunted when I was young, and I love to deer hunt now. I go to Illinois every year. I got family. From where Rachel's from. I got in with some people up there in the Porter family. They give me the run of the roost. Everybody over there, they let me do what I want. It's like my own property, and I love it up there, man. I love the deer hunt now, but I still love the duck hunting too now.
But that all started, I mean, through the duck hunting right there in Manchac,
right? Louisiana. We hunt with.
Go ahead.
We put a 20-foot skiff. Michael Laurent was young. Michael grew up with us. Our dads are lifetime firemen of Ponchatoula Fire Department. And we'd have 8 or 10 P-rows in a boat, and we'd go down the Talbany River and then push pole and paddle into that swamp. and it was just
the Laurents were in your neighborhood too, growing up, weren't they?
Who's that?
The Laurents. Didn't they live in your neighborhood?
Yeah, Michael
also?
lived right down the road from me.
Yeah.
Miss Paul and Miss Elaine and Brandon.
Yeah, great family. Those are great. Yeah.
And
tell us about the Man Shack experience, because I remember when I was a kid, we had a camp in Man Shack too, and of course y'all do, and have for decades had it. But I remember, I think it's your Uncle Charlie, who was my dad's high school classmate, was an avid outdoorsman, fisherman, duck hunter. You name it.
He crabs.
Okay, yeah, crabs, of course, yeah. Tell us about that. I mean, is that you? I mean, you kind of seem to have had influences in every direction, family wise, to take you hunting, to take you fishing, to take you crabbing, you name it.
Y'all had a camp on South Pass,
right?
Pass, North Pass. You had the Andersons. Y'all had y'all. You had Uters. We had all kind of people.
Yeah, Poches.
Brad Poche. We had parties at his camps.
Sure.
Coming up.
Yeah.
We just had a lot of good times on the pass. Skiing. We would knee board or go to the river. Yeah. Spent a lot of time with the Vitters and the Pews and
great family.
A lot of families down on Tangipahoa River.
Yeah.
Stormy's mom and dad. Growing up, I'd be down the river with Stormy and John Dillon. A lot of those guys were some of my best friends growing up. When we were in high school, and
y'all were my protectors, man. I was a little shrimp, and you guys were all. Nobody messed with me because I got to sit with you at lunch, right?
Oh yeah, we had some awesome lunches at high school. It was fun, wasn't
We
it?
had a blast, man.
We was in the course. I mean, we had all kind of stuff going. Mr. Jude wanted to kill us because we was always clowning in class.
Right, I'll always appreciate that. So let's talk about the next chapter. You mentioned earlier, after high school, your career in the beer industry and how you came into the store. When you get to store, you mentioned, and I think it was your dad who said, what a risk y'all were taking on, because he's still working overseas, and Lord knows every waking minute he was home, he was in there working with you, and your mom was too, and all that. But I mean, it was a big gamble. I don't think the store had been really prospering in the years before y'all reclaimed it, like it had in the heyday when your grandfather ran it and all. So tell us, what was that like? I mean, going from a secure career where you're getting paid no matter what, or for Budweiser, into the eat what you kill realm of self-employment and small town, small business. Tell us about that transition and the lessons you learned along the way.
Well, we really were taking a chance. We didn't know, what was going on. It was me and my mom, starting out. My dad worked overseas, and then when they had the September 11th, the stuff in New York.
Sure.
My dad was overseas, and when he come home,
terrifying.
When he got in, Texaco was bought out by Chevron, and luckily my dad was able to retire and started with us in the store.
Yeah. Okay.
So my dad and my mom, worked the store every day.
Yeah.
We were 6-7 days a week. Early in the morning we had accounts. We had my buddy Bobby Wolf. Wolf Lumber was our biggest account.
Okay.
And bless Bobby. I mean, he did a lot for me,
Yeah.
But we had
a great family, the Wolf clan, man. Brian's about one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we had accounts all through town. Gabriel's, Wolf Lumber, Ponchatoula Feed and Seed, and they had trucks coming in early. And we did the gas business and
y'all did personal accounts too, as I recall.
Yeah, we had personal accounts.
My daddy had a tab there that my brothers and I would use.
And when we stopped. You don't realize when you see these people like your dad or people in Ponchatoula, every 2 or 3 days, and you stop doing gas, it's like you lost your family.
Yeah, I bet.
Because your dad would come in with me and we talked about all kind of stuff. And, or a lot of people just come in just to have coffee or shoot the breeze, And so with us with the seafood business now, it's blowing and going. And you don't have the times to have a beer in the evening or, do what we're doing.
Yeah. You don't get the same traffic you get with gas, which you need all the time.
Exactly.
Harris it's kind of like that third place in your life. You got work, you got home, You know, some folk go to the bar room, whatever, but you know, your place was a place we could hang out and just kind of.
It was, and you could catch up. There was never a dull moment.
Yeah.
It was always a story that we all
Right.
talked
Yeah,
about
I mean,
past.
it was your place to see Corey Dufresne or Andy Duvick or all these guys you grew up with. But
yeah,
yeah.
And Andy was with me today. Andy's in and out the store all the time.
Oh, Andy's
You know,
great. I'm standing on beautiful hardwood floors that Andy put in my office here. He's such a talented guy and a great guy, a really thoughtful guy. You know,
he is. He cares about a lot of stuff. He's one of my best friends. He's one of
the best guys in town. I remember when my boy was baptized, you know, he gave us a nice gift, and his faith is very strong and important to him. And, you know, he's a wonderful big brother type. And I'm one of these guys with all thumbs, not a handy bone in my body. And anytime something goes wrong at my house, Andy's there for me if I need him. And I appreciate that. So I'm glad you mentioned what a great guy he is. We've got a few other comments coming in here I want to share. Trish is ready for strawberries. What can you tell us about when strawberries will be available?
Well, you know, this season has been really, really tough.
Yeah, the weather, the challenges. Tell us about that.
I've been blessed for my first 3 years. I started off in the business 3 years ago with a pioneer in the industry. J.C. Blayhut was a well-known strawberry
farmer in Springfield,
and known as the grand champion. And every day I want to be that grand champion he is. And right now I have who's like my brother is Jose, who worked for a JC. He's out here right now. He's picking a half flat of berries that we're going to show y'all what we'll have at the store. We're going to finally start tomorrow. But going back to the Rouse's family, they have been dedicated to me. They dedicated to local farmers. You know, I try to get along with all the farmers. Me and Joey Lauz are really good friends. We talk on a daily basis. You know, we try to get along. The Threetons out here. Me and Uncle Lloyd and Lenny talk every day. You know, I have a great relationship with William Fletcher and some of the Ponchatoula farmers. And I talk to the farmers in the north end of the parish. And I like to see all of us try to work together, you know. And, but going back to Jose, you know, going back into this farming deal, it's all us farmers get the accolades. We the ones that get to be on the pedestal. We the ones that are, you know, the ones out in the limelight. But without Jose and his family, Trey Harris is nothing.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you mention that because I know you have won accolades. I mean, you haven't been at it long, but you have been the grand champion at the Strawberry Festival.
We are the grand champion.
Yes, you're the reigning grand champion, and it's so great to see you share that credit with Jose.
Well, Jose is the grand champion. Yeah, he's the man. You know,
you just wave me on when you have him in that flat of berries. Let me know. We'll get you out there.
He's outside. He's out here. He just come from the other farm. I have 11 H2A guys rolling right now. We're trying to clean up from the storm. We still have tons of blooms that are black. We're still strapping, getting the bad berries off. And I'm gonna tell you, Parker, I was pretty devastated to see what was going on. And you know, it's been a tough deal for me and all the other farmers. But dude, today it's like they just popped out. I talked to Joey earlier. I said, Joey, they look pretty, and it's like they rejuvenate. I mean, I'm gonna take y'all out here in a little while ago. I'm really proud about our new farm. We have, you know, some of the.
So you now have 2 locations. You're in 2 farms.
I still going back to JC. I've been on their farm for 3 years, and then I purchased land from the Blayhuts on another piece of property from JC and his nephew Don. And we have 15.5 acres over here. That now I have 60,000 plants in the background here, and we have 70,000 on the other field. We have 9 acres of strawberries right now. And I'm gonna tell you, my Christian Catholic Mexican guys from Mexico, dude, they're awesome. They roll for me. I mean, it's hard for me.
How'd you find those guys? I mean, did you say Jose worked on the farm before you were there? Was he the connector, or how did
Jose's been here for 13 years. He actually started with Landry Poche across the road. And
great farm, great folks.
Great farms. Rhonda, Mr. Pudgy, and Daryl and them, and I'm proud of Jonathan. Jonathan's got the farmer's darling, They just purchased a school bus where they're going to go into neighborhoods with their goods. And Jonathan's really taking over and trying to do good by his family, and him and his wife. They're doing a fabulous job.
Get them on the show because I saw that on Facebook. That's a really cool concept.
He's a good guy. You know, Rhonda and Daryl take pride in what they do. You know, great farmers. Every year for the Strawberry Festival, I want to whip them and they want to whip us. Yeah. So,
sure. But you know, you say that you're very competitive, and I've known you our whole life, so I know you're a competitive guy. But one thing I admire about you is you believe the rising tide lifts all boats, because you just rattled off half a dozen, maybe a dozen farmers, and you're supporting them. And I see this all the time, whether it's on Facebook or in real life, you know, just talking. You want to see others prosper. You know, we see so many people in competition, and it's blood sport. You know, attorneys, for example, in my line of work, personal injury attorneys looking to represent people in car crashes, which is what I do. That can be one of the nastiest businesses out there. People talking trash about one another, just doing everything mean they can, and hardly ever, if ever, saying nice things about their quote unquote competition. I mean, technically, you guys would all love to get the Rouse's contract, but you know, you are very uplifting and complimentary of the people that are technically your competition. So how do you get to a point of view like that? Because I really admire it, but I think it's fairly unique. You know, where does that come from?
Going back to the store, I sold strawberries for Eric Morrow. I sold strawberries every Strawberry Festival, William Fletcher.
Yeah.
You know, I watched me and William one year, and he said, Trey, we'll be talking about this for the rest of our lives. We sold berries $25 a flat, and we sold a bunch. And now the Strawberry Festivals, they're $20 a half flat.
Wow.
You know, and let's face it, the strawberry industry is a dying. It's on a downhill slide.
Sure.
Because you don't have a lot of people. In this past year, we lost Levi Robinson. You got Mr. Harry Levine, who's not in it. You have the Vicknairs, who's not in it.
Right.
So that's three more farms out. You have three farmers. You have three farmers in Ponchatoula now. You have Eric, you have William, and you have Heaven. Yeah. You know, John Dale. Then in Springfield, you know, Uncle Lloyd. I mean, he's a mentor. You know, Lloyd Threaton and me. He's like JC to me. You know, and Lenny and me are really good friends, and we look for one another to try to figure out issues. And there's only 4 farmers in Springfield. Then you have Frank Beckety, and you have Miss Heather, the pumpkin patch.
Sure.
I mean, you're talking about 9 farmers on the south end of Livingston and Ponchatoula, and then you get up to Independence, and you got Anthony and Joey and Kevin, and then you have Mark Colonna and Baglio. I mean, we got 5 farmers up there. Mark Liuza, you know.
Yeah, and but you're right. I mean, you used to have that many farmers off of Thibodeau Road. You know, just on the east side, you had literally dozens of small farms. And I know just from having a downtown law office all these years, you know, some of these titans you mentioned, like Harry Levine and, you know, Richard Stilley, who sold all these guys that, you know, were the berry sellers of our youth. Mr. Hollis Poche was a phenomenal farmer out there. You know, so many have passed or moved on, but they're not being replaced by the next generation, which is part of why it's so cool to see you jump in there and prosper.
Well, it was,
it's been neat.
This was a, you know, you owe people in life.
Yeah.
And Pat Morris took a chance on me. You know, 4 years ago, Pat was a produce director for Rouse's. A good friend of mine. Me and Rachel I lived in Esterbrook Road, going back to Strawberry Land. And him and his wife lived on the next neighborhood over, and we become good friends, and we're still good friends. And Pat took a chance on me, and, you know, it was tough. Me owning the store and, you know, going in delivering berries to the back of Rouse's and having to deal with stuff and, you know, dealing with other, you know, people, and they don't know who I was. And it's not about that, but, you know, to watch situations and the way some people get treated, you know, it's crazy to see some of the backdoor stuff. But, you know, Pat told me, keep your cool, Trey, just go through the flow. And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know about this, you know, but Rouse's took a chance, you know, on me, and, man, it's been a blessing. The Rouse
and it's been mutually beneficial because look, when your berries are in there, they're the best. I mean, I had a friend in from Iowa a few weeks ago, and sadly, it was in the middle of this horrendous weather we had. So all Rouse's had on the shelf was Mexican berries, and you know, this guy's from the heart of, corn country, and the Iowa State Fair and all that stuff. And he was so bummed I couldn't give him some Ponchatoula strawberries or some Springfield, some local strawberries. And I said, look, man, the time you just saw you off bad timing, but trust me, when you come back, go to Rouse's. They get great berries, And
oh yeah.
Y'all. So my point is, Rouse's is lucky to have you too. I mean, it's obviously a big opportunity for you, Rachel, but y'all have great berries on the shelf.
The Louisiana strawberry farmers, I think we're the best, all of us,
for sure,
as one group. But what people don't realize, they got farmers in California and Florida. One farmer's bigger than all of us combined.
Right.
Okay, and it's other people don't realize, and I'm gonna show you in these fields, these blankets, what it costs for us to try to start putting berries in the stores in November, and how costly it is. And some of the other farmers in Louisiana don't do it. It takes a lot of manpower. It takes a lot of labor. It takes money. And it's a tough deal. But
and you're risking a very different climate. Let's face it, out there they don't have that freeze risk.
No, they don't have to run and cover berries, and it's a very, I like it because you feel good. Our production this year is down 50% from the past. I mean, this has been a tough year, but you know the risk going in, so you can't. And I get upset sometimes, and Lenny and Lord will say, hey, you're getting all hyper, or you chill out, relax. And there's really nothing you can do because it's all
coming to a year, during COVID. So let's talk about, speaking of downturns in production, how has COVID affected your business? How has that made?
Man, last year that was the best year we've ever had. We were very blessed. Okay. Crawfish, we were able to sell crawfish. Mm-hmm. Nobody was going to work. I mean, there was no restaurants open, and I hate it for the restaurant people, but everybody wanted to ball crawfish. Now, the crawfish industry was very, very affected by it because the prices went down so cheap. Mm-hmm. That's why if Parker Layrisson wanted to ball crawfish on a Monday or Tuesday, you was getting sacks of crawfish for Easter $50, $60. That's unheard of. A sack of crawfish right now is $150.
Yeah.
1 year later. So, man, it was just people balling crawfish every day, and I was because we were in the right business at the right time. The supermarkets was on fire, so Rouse's took everything we needed from us and Joey and Anthony and them, and I was very blessed, and it's just. But I'm going to bring Jose in here in a minute. He's out in the field, but we'll get him in here in a minute.
While we're talking about other people in your life, Raymond Starkey chimes in that you have the best parents in the world. And who can argue with that? They're so great.
He's got some good parents, too. He's got some good parents.
It takes one to know one. I think we mentioned last week, Starkey family is one of the best in town for all time. And he also brings up an interesting question here, which I posted, which is why you haven't been Strawberry King yet. I know, back-to-back years, no Strawberry Festival. We've had some great ones, and we have a great one now. But if the committee's listening, guys, I think Raymond's onto something there. We got a really good
it's
candidate.
All good. We just
Sandra Landry, speaking of great families, man, she chimes in. Two great guys. I appreciate you saying that. That's very generous of you. Rachel Strohmeyer, Rachel Lagarde, when we were growing up, she says your berries are delicious and you're a blessing to the community.
I appreciate it. Rachel and her family
aren't they great?
Listen to me. We got a strong backbone of strong families still here in Ponchatoula. It's different. Now, let me tell you, the people that have came in are some great people, too.
Oh, absolutely. Not a doubt. Yeah.
But we still have some strong families that have been here, 3-4 generations,
Yeah.
But
thanks, Rachel. Thanks, was my class at Ponchatoula. We were same homeroom 4 years in a row, and they're just as good as it gets. And speaking of great families, John Gray Bankston here, good old Ponchatoula boys.
I grew up. They were down the road from us. Chad,
takes one to know one, right? John, James, that's just a great gang there. Tell us about the transition of your business into where you are now, because you mentioned the kind of humble roots and the risk you took to get started. Now you've kind of gone big time and you've gone corporate, and look, we're talking Smoothie King, we're talking Rouse's. What has that required of you in terms of a changing skill set And where do you see, your business is going in the future? Because you're growing. You're up to 2 strawberry farms, a seafood operation.
It's
Tell us about
all
the growth
it's
in
all it's all the people you surround yourself around with.
Mhm.
Last year, let me get this, get it. Last year was tough for us during COVID. Rachel helped me a lot at the store. My mom and dad, I didn't want them up there with what was going on. So my mom and dad went to the camp. Um, you know, I have a lot of people that come up to help me, and I have so many friends that just show up and say, hey, let's
Mhm.
help, and Mr. Anthony Sambola, he balls crawfish for me.
Right.
He's a lifetime fireman, retired Jefferson Parish. Great guy I could depend on. He's like a big brother to me. Going to the strawberry farm, Jose's been with me for 4 years.
Right.
His wife's here, his daughter's here. He's the backbone. Him and his family. Jose makes sure we have the right people here. If somebody's not cutting it, him, his brother, and his brother-in-law, they tell me. They say, and like going back to their faith, they Christians. I mean,
Mhm.
they're Catholics, and me and Jose have cried in these fields because Jose was taught by the best.
Right.
And he thrives every day for us to try to be the best.
Mhm.
And that's what we do every day. And Jose wants his guys that work for us, he wants them to do right,
Sure.
and when he talks, me and him are together,
Right.
But I'm going to bring Jose in. I'm going to let him show y'all what we're going to.
Yeah, please do that. That would be great.
And this is Jose, and I get the status of being a grand champion, but he's the grand champion. He takes pride.
You're Tom Brady, and he's your offensive line.
This is my unsung hero. Sit down. Let Jose sit down.
Jose, thank you so much for joining us, friend. Those are such beauty. Can you hold the berries up a little higher? We can only see a few right now, Trey, with our camera angle. Oh my gosh, those are gorgeous! Wow, that's incredible.
We are so excited here, me and him.
Yeah, Jose has done tremendous, man. That is wow. That's wonderful.
Jose is he takes pride and going on the strawberries. We stem every one. We don't
mean? To a guy like me who knows nothing about farming, what's that mean?
They really don't touch the strawberry. They pop them. So we don't pull them and try to bruise them.
Right.
And he teaches all our guys, instead of pulling a berry, we pop them all.
Okay.
And
that's important.
He's just, I mean, I can't talk enough about Jose. He's so sweet, so polite, such a well-mannered person. Now, he seen me get excited this week over a bad move I made. I told him we had a couple of newscasts, Channel 2 and out of Baton Rouge, and Channel 6, and I told him to leave some berries uncovered. And when I got there, this is how bad the weather is. It was calling for 41 degrees.
Oh, God.
I got up, it was 31.
Wow.
So I got to my fields. I had some of these plants that were open. I told them, leave them open, let them air out.
You thought it was going to be 41.
For the first time in 4 years, they had ice and frost over all the plants.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe this happened. And it's just.
Can you hold one up again, Trey? Let's get folks here.
Look at that strawberry.
That's amazing. Now, Tony Licciardi's telling lies on here. He says those berries must be grown from Hammond heirloom seeds.
They are organic, Tony. They come out the greenhouse, baby.
Our buddy John Bankson says they're nice.
Oh yeah, man. It's
Blake Lowry, blast from the past there, says you're a winner, Silver Fox.
Blake lived with us for a couple of days.
Oh,
Blake is a good old friend, man.
Oh, he is. He's so entertaining. His little brother and my little brother were really close friends, are still really close friends. And Blake was always like the wild big brother. And speaking of the old neighborhood and great guys, our old friend Matt Cox says, "What's up, fella?"
Oh yeah, Cox lived next door to me, and
I remember that well.
Store. We got a lot of loyal customers.
Just great, and it goes back to what you said earlier. Great families. You think of Matt's mom; she's always serving the community. They're just great folks.
And listen to me, just not my my workers and my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
And when the flood happened, we created the Love Train, and it was something. It was
Let's
something,
talk about that.
That I got accolades and got volunteer of the year stuff through the parish.
Right.
It wasn't me, you know. It was this community. I'm talking about politicians, you know, everybody. AJ Bacher. I mean, we had so many. The food. My dad, he was burnt out. He said, "Son, when is this going to end?" You know, and
Well,
I
look,
looked at him.
100%. You deserve that. You're right. You weren't alone, but you know, every good movement needs a leader, and you were that.
Well, you know, I got a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
You know, Kyle Bratton. He spearheaded that thing, and he got to spend a day or two there, and it just kept going, man. It was just food after food, and Kyle's been a good friend of mine. He's hooked me up with the crawfish people I have, which is another great family, the Brattons. I mean, it's just, man, I'm blessed. I can't say anything else about all the people that take care of me.
It didn't stop there. You know, I think you were offline during our tech problems when I shared this comment. Donald Burton was the first person on here to say hello and, you know, put a comment here about your parents and what great folks they are. And we all know Donald's story, and he's been on the show to tell it. But Donald has really faced some medical tragedies. He's overcome them, thank God, and his faith's so important. But this community, which you just mentioned, Trey, got behind him. But you guys were the ones that stepped up and gave us a place to do a benefit for Donald Burton, to pay for his cancer care. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, just a few weeks ago, you're doing the same for the Charlie Landry Memorial Scholarship. That's such a great family. They've been putting people in college for over 20 years through that scholarship, you know?
That's right.
I mean, you don't see that every day. How many businesses are stepping up the way you have? The answer is none. You know, I mean, it's just, you've been uniquely supportive of local charitable endeavors, and I thank you for that, man.
You know, we have a great location in Ponchatoula, and we're able. And I've even thought about it with the Strawberry Festival. It got canceled again, and I talked to my mom and dad. We have a location. I'd like to see a nonprofit organization every month or every 3 weeks come up there, and we could do stuff to raise money. Because let me tell you, this has hurt them. You know, they don't have the Strawberry Festival was great for the city. It was great for the farmers. It was great for you know, nonprofit organizations. And I'll be one of the first ones.
Right.
I wish we didn't have any out of town vendors. I made a stance 3 or 4 years ago, and nobody followed suit with us. Right. You know, and me and our family.
Tell us about that. We're talking Strawberry Festival weekend.
Yes,
the streets are overrun. In the old days, when we were growing up, it was nothing but locals. You know, farmers, and nonprofits. Now it's a ton of folks coming from out of town.
And they
tell us about that whole. For the folks that don't know the history of that, give us kind of a how
the Strawberry Festival started with my Uncle Tony Burner and a lot of people downtown. It started right there, right Gateway 4, right behind Rainbows, and it's blown into the biggest free festival in the state.
Sure.
And me and Bobby Wolf 4 years ago walked around. I said, "This is crazy, man. Look at what's going on. They monopolizing the whole city."
Right.
And I took a stance right there and tried to get everybody to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And it's easy from the outside looking in. And when you don't own the real estate, you don't own the property.
When you don't rely on that income to pay your mortgage, it's easy to say no more out of towners.
And that weekend, it's Atlantic City, it's Boardwalk, and they pay that kind of money to be here.
Yeah.
So this is a situation for all of us to slow down and watch what's going on. Let's go back to our roots. Let's go back. Let's go back for what the Strawberry Festival was started for the farmers, the nonprofit organizations. And let's go back to that, because, you know, we don't like to go back on my word. And I told my dad, I said, "Daddy, we can release this piece of property out again." He said, "Well, son, how are you going to do that when you told everybody not to do it?" I said, "Because nobody followed suit. We're the only ones up here trying to work hard, and they ought to have nonprofits all through here doing this. Let's keep it in the community."
For folks that are unaware of how the festival works, on the actual festival grounds, which is not that big of a footprint. You know, it's basically Memorial Park plus some 6th Street, right? Coming up to your store, basically.
That's the entrance. That is the entrance into the festival.
Correct.
Right there. That's
those booths in there are exclusively nonprofits. The Strawberry Festival Committee runs it. You got to be a legit nonprofit to get in there. So it's Kiwanis and Rotary and many churches and other things, scholarships, etc.
Correct.
But then, you know, the outline areas all up and down Pine Street is just privately owned and, you know, permitted through the city. And I think the problem you see is
I'm going to send that
Go ahead.
case of strawberries to you, Parker.
Oh, hey, my
Thanks,
two
man.
boys
I
and wife are
appreciate
going
it.
to be really grateful. Thank
Oh
you, Trey.
yeah, no problem.
And Danny Lynn behind the camera there. That's our Brandy's cousin, Danny Lynn, helping us back
Okay.
there. You're going
Right.
to get some of those too. So if you want to eat one now, dig in.
She said to eat you one, baby.
But my point is, the problem is now, because for example, I'm in the Rotary, okay, and we do
Yes.
jambalaya and other food, and the problem is people don't know that the festival doesn't really formally begin till they're eating chicken on a stick 2 blocks in before they hit the festival. The money's spent and it's in this out of town vendor's pocket,
and they rolling out with it.
Yeah, right.
And we
And,
never
the
see it
city
again.
gets a small fee, or I don't know what the fee is, but it's not benefiting the community like if they were buying that from the Charlie Landry Memorial Scholarship, where it's going to put it in your college.
You got so many
or the
people
Kiwanis
that,
Club.
yeah, I mean, and these people are dependent on this to be able to give that scholarship to my son or your son or whoever's son, and it's just something we really need to sit back right now and as a group we need to bring it up, and we need to try to stop it, and go back to our grassroots.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what else is important to you? We've talked about family. We've talked about your businesses, community. What else are you into? The community wants to know more about Trey Harris, the man. We all know your beautiful berries, the delicious crawfish, et cetera. But tell us more about yourself. You and Rachel, it could be anything. What you're into, tell us more about yourself personally.
I mean, I live every day of my life for my kids, I want them to be, good kids, the way, trust me, I haven't done everything in life. That's,
none of us have.
I've done things in my life and, got ignorant with some people that I wish I wouldn't have got ignorant with. And I guess it's a Bates trait. It's a Bates trait maybe, but,
hey, friends with the Bates do the same thing too, right? So I've been there.
I'm blessed, man. God's taking care of me. I can't take away from anything in the past. I move every day for the future.
Sure.
Sometimes I get caught up and wonder what, worry about things, but that really, everything's in God's hands.
Right.
Rachel's a really faithful woman.
Great woman.
We go to St. Margaret's. Father Jamin has been a great guy, great priest. Like all of us, she's into she gives a Eucharist sometimes. She does stuff at church. With COVID, it's just kind of different now because you got to sign in and do things. I should go to church more, but I talk to God every day.
Sure. What are some lessons you learned along the way? Because you talk about, like everybody, none of us have been 100% A+ on the test of life.
Right.
But you seem like a guy who has gained a lot of wisdom along the way from your successes and the pitfalls, right? What are some things you've learned, that you could share with our viewers that they might benefit from?
Just just have a level head before try to think before you speak. I've done some stupid stuff in my life with people, I don't know.
Well, I want to thank you for being such a great role model for our community.
I appreciate it, Parker.
Guys like you who are like little brothers to you, coming up in town, playing in your front yard.
Oh yeah.
Go following you into high school, and into the community and into community service. Right. You really have kind of set the mark. We're about at the hour mark, and so before we close, I want to ask: is there anything else on your mind? Anything else you want to talk about? Share?
I'd like to for everybody to take the time to think about all the people we've lost.
For sure. Yeah.
Our community's lost a lot of influential good people, and this COVID's for real, Yeah. I mean, when you start losing people that are close to you, and I'm blessed. I wake up every day and I still have my mom and dad, and I know a lot of people don't,
Right.
And I do get emotional. I don't want nobody to think this is a weakness of mine, because I'm not weak.
It's not. I don't think
I'm just a emotional person, and
right.
And just think about all the people that don't have it, like we do.
Sure.
Because I can't ask for anything else. I really can't, man. You know,
Yeah.
I have strong people behind me, you know, strong community behind me, people that step up to do stuff. And all I want to do is just keep giving
Yeah.
and try to live my life better and, you know, make amends with people that, you know, and that's how we all should live, you know,
Absolutely.
because you need to hug everybody every day because like if me or my kids or my wife or my mom and dad, I always want to say, hey, we're gonna say we love each other because you don't know if I get in that truck or something happens to me
You never
or
know
anybody,
when it'll be
Parker.
the last
You
time
know?
for sure. Well, I see that
And I
sadly all the time in my line of work. You know, wrongful death, car accidents happen all the time that claim people's lives,
well,
and
and
one
I'm
of a
very
million dangers we face when we step out the door.
I'm very
You're
proud
right.
of you. You know how, you know,
Well, thanks,
you've done a great
man.
guy.
Yeah.
Your brother's doing great as our police chief. I'm very
Thank
proud
you.
of him.
I'm really proud of him. You're
You
right.
know, he's doing so good for our community, and you know, your daddy's a legend. I'm glad he's still with us. He's been going through some
Yeah.
bad, you know, bad
Yeah.
medical
He's
problems, and
had
he's
some
still
bad
here
health
with us.
stuff, but he's still with us, and that's the
Yeah.
important part.
Well, and I just want to thank the community.
Yeah.
Thank y'all because Trey
Yeah.
Harris is nothing without all y'all. You know.
Well, thank you. It's been neat to see you prosper. I've had several friends on this show, close friends that have just really, you know, been incredibly successful. You know, you, Jeff Leshershire. Next week we have Philip Bankson coming on, another person who's just
he was a good key. He was a good Key Club member too.
Yeah, he sure was. I mean, Philip's just a great. You talk about a well-rounded guy. You know, he's
He's
smart,
done very well for
athletic.
himself. All those boys have.
Yeah, he's just a great Christian man. And
oh yeah.
But my point here is, you know, not everybody on that list had the benefit of a great dad to learn from and watch, but we did. The guys that I'm talking about here, and that's no coincidence, right? I mean, you can get there to be a great dad, a great person, a great mother, etc., without that. But it sure is a lot easier when you grew up every day for 18 years or whatever, watching a man like Johnny B. Harris, Eddie Layrisson, you know, you name it, and they're just, you know, tons of great guys in this town that are setting that example. And it's a, you know, speaking of that, you know, John Bankson says, love your brother. Another guy, just, you know, great family. You got other comments coming in here, Trey. You're obviously a very popular man, and Larry Macalusa, we all love you, man.
Well, I love little Larry. Little Larry grew up across the road from me.
Yeah.
I started my first ironworking jobs with his daddy.
Really?
You know, cool. Man, with me and you could sit down and we could do this for hours. You know,
well, look, there's
just
no
great
end
for
to the list of great guys in town, but now's your moment on this show, right? I mean, this is the Trey Harris week on Ponchatoula Live, and it's important that you hear from those of us in the community how much we appreciate it. The first comment on the board was, you know, Donald
Faith Burton.
Donald Faith Burton. Like, and you know, Donald's a great guy, but he is so genuine.
My brother. He's my brother now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
He's my brother.
And, you know, it keeps coming in. Daniel McClendon says, good job, Trey.
I love
you have admirers throughout this town, some older than you, your parents' age, some younger, some you don't even know. But I just think it's important, Trey, that you take a moment to realize how much we love you and appreciate what you do for our community. And we thank you. And so with that, folks, we're out of time. We've taken more Trey's time than he promised. And
I got Mama at the store. I got to go relieve her.
Good deal. Well, folks, we'll be back here next week, Ponchatoula Live, next Thursday, 5 p.m. As I mentioned, we're going to have Philip Bankson. So thank you, and we will see you then.